And now to the awards for tonight. Tonight we applaud 5 individuals for their dedication to working in the spirit of bipartisanship. New Mexico First Board member Gene Baca will tell us how tonight's honorees were selected. Gene?
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you tonight, and I really enjoyed this. And I mean, those are some hard-hitting questions. Please don't ask me any questions here because I don't think I can answer them. But I have to say that I have worked with every one of these public servants here, and they do an incredible job. Ethical, hardworking. They do it for free, and they really do what they think is best for New Mexico. And so I just want to applaud them for what they've done and for coming out here for us. But I do appreciate the questions, Sam. Those are great. So partisanship, we hear a lot about that these days. And even though we may think it's a recent phenomenon, it really isn't. Partisanship and bitter partisanship arose with the birth of our country. And George Washington warned of the danger of excessive partisanship and the effect on our liberty, and counseled that the check is public vigilance and public opinion. And I thought about that as they were speaking up here. I mean, really, that is the check for partisanship. If we don't like it, vote them out. If we don't like it, then raise a stink about it. So, but on the other hand, though, there are those, and there are many here in the audience who we've awarded before, who are collaborative and who do try to find common ground and who really do try to act in a bipartisan way. And tonight, we are recognizing those people who have the courage and the fortitude to do that against partisan politics. And yeah, they face their primary, and they got to go back and look at the extremists on each party, but they go out and they do the right thing and they try to find a solution that works for New Mexico. And we got to applaud those people. So our committee was tasked with selecting award recipients who lead, govern, and administer through consensus building and collaboration. And there are a lot of we had a lot of applicants, or a lot of nominations here, and the awardees here with us tonight demonstrate the continued commitment to putting ideology and partisanship aside and moving New Mexico forward. And we have a great group of recipients tonight. So these values have always been the cornerstone of New Mexico First's mission, and it's important that we recognize individuals who share the same values. So we'll get on to the awards here. But I'd like to recognize first our award selection committee members, and can we please recognize Janet Green, Cynthia Nava, Clint Harden, Leanne Kravitz, and Heather Ballas, and thank you very much for your hard work. You're supposed to clap a little bit longer so I can make it back. But anyway, so New Mexico First tradition is to present each awardee with an Indian wedding vase. This is an Indian wedding vase, and many of you have heard the story before. If you've been here before, you've heard it, and many of you are familiar with it. But just as the vase symbolizes the bringing together of two families in a marriage, we use it tonight to symbolize the bringing together of the two parties. And the vases are fragile, and so this year we're sending them home wrapped. And so, but they're beautiful, and I think that it's quite a statement with these vases. So New Mexico First is proud to honor the 5 awardees. They're Democrats, they're Republicans, and Independents, who all show collaborative leadership in various sectors. So we'll get on to the awards, but thank you all for all that you do. And for those who are in the audience here, there's several who have received this award. Could you quickly stand up, because many of you received the Bipartisanship Award, and I know that I've seen several of you in the audience. With that, I'll turn it back to Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Presenting our first award in statewide leadership is Carol Leach of Concho Resources. Concho is the sponsor of tonight's event. Carol?
Have you ever known any person who's responded poorly in a crisis situation? They run around, they act like a chicken with their head cut off, they point fingers and blame everybody, and they accomplish nothing except creating more chaos. Well, now imagine the polar opposite. What would that be like? In this case, it would be someone who's calm, reasoned, not ruffled, steady, a problem solver. That's David Abbey, and I'm honored to present him his award tonight. David has worked for the people of New Mexico for about 30 years. For most of the last 2 decades, David has directed the state's Legislative Finance Committee, simply known as the LFC. David leads a staff of 38 analysts, economists, editors, accountants, and others who have the huge job of drafting the state's budget every year. That budget includes education, health care, economic development, environment, energy, and anything else you can name. The LFC staff also predict the future revenues in order to create a balanced budget. Then they monitor program implementation by the state agencies. To do this job, David, an economist by training, works with community members, government employees, and elected lawmakers of both parties. He takes particular pride in his years of collaborative work on early childhood education, leading to the appropriations for full-day kindergartens, K-3 plus, and early childhood accountability. He's also devoted years to the Public School Capital Outlay Council, which has substantially rebuilt schools throughout the state. The emphasis on kids and education are also hallmarks of his personal life. Most recently, David helped lawmakers find common ground to allow for the successful special session and the passing of the nearly $300 million capital outlay bill that will benefit the economy of New Mexico. These are just a few of dozens of examples. The bottom line is David is a man who does not identify legislators as Republicans or Democrats. To him, they are all lawmakers who represent the people around the state who elected them. David works with them in a creative and a collaborative manner to produce a budget that adequately meets the needs of the state and fits within the anticipated revenue. It's a tough job, and he does it, and he'll do it again every year. Please join me in congratulating a true champion for New Mexico, David Abbey.
Thank you. Well, Representative Call would say when you're working on the budget, when no one could stand it, it was just terrible, he'd say, you know you were done. So my goal every year is to try to get the budget passed unanimously. And I've heard Pollyannish as we've gone to other states and talked that way, but in fact, that's the reality of New Mexico. We've been able to get there multiple times on both capital outlay budgets and general appropriation acts. I gotta say too, what makes it come together that way, part of it is you never stop. I have key leaders, Senator Engel was one this year, call often, is what have you done today to make this work? Never stop, and that's kind of a key to this. I'd like to thank my staff and my family who would certainly disagree with the view that I perform my work with calm. But thank my wife, Lauren Aramuspi Abbey, my son's here, and I've got a lot of staff here. They make it work for me and for the committee. And then I've been really extremely privileged to work for some outstanding volunteer lawmakers. And I'm going to name a few at risk of not naming enough, but Senator Altamirano, performing work with integrity, great leadership, Representative Saavedra, Senator Beffert, and Larrañaga, and Smith, and Representative Bratton. So I want to acknowledge them and thank you for this award.